Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Green Dawn. My name is Wilfred. So this is yet another video, a compilation of a couple of hours gameplay last night. So there's some unfinished business when it comes to Green Dawn. There are zones that I couldn't do because I was a little bit too low level, as well as there are dungeons whereby it's more like a roguelike, and I remember I couldn't finish it because I wanted to make a video for the dungeon. It was rather hard. And this time around, I'm playing at the veterans kind of like difficulties is one notch higher than the normal one, because I find it a little bit more challenging. Now, of course, the mobs does take a bit longer to down, but it seems that the rewards are pretty much there as well. So now so another thing that I'd like to showcase to you in this video is to pay attention to the kind of like mob types as well as the environment around as well. So you may have played the Wolcen because a lot of people are playing it right now, which you know that I didn't enjoy it. And it's hard to relate on why I said it's a little bit not as exciting or not as engaging in terms of environment compared to, say, for example, Green Dawn. So if you look at Green Dawn, there are different type of mobs when in a forest area. You got waterfalls everywhere here and there, got plants, got trees, the sparkle of the green kind of thingy. And you can see like bees, like dogs, a bit of like kind of orc, and you can see like huge, like bigger kind of orc kind of thing. You can see shaman, and basically a good variety of mob types that you could relate back to this particular map that you're playing. Now, of course, if you play the maps later on in a dungeon, then you see like skeletons and more skeletons and so on. So there is it makes the environment a little bit more engaging, not just the asset itself, but more like what kind of mob types around it. So by the way, this is one of the bosses that I need to go through. This is called Dangerous Domain. It's a little bit like Path of Exile. If you play Path of Exile, the map itself, each map has its unique debuff. So for this dangerous domain, there's one debuff. I couldn't remember what it was, but yeah, I mean, it make the map a little bit difficult, and depending on like your luck, sometimes some of the debuff could be rather easy, some of the debuff could be rather hard. And now this particular map, by the way, when I discovered it during the low level. So if you play a little bit of World of Warcraft in the past, and you realizing that the classic World of Warcraft or classic RPGs is kind of more interesting when it comes to the map progression. Unlike the recent games whereby you progress from map to map, and you're realizing that you are actually dealing with the enemy more or less the same level of yours. There's not much, it's kind of linear. You know that you just go through the map one after the other, and there's no consideration of like, oh, am I too low level to go into this map or not? So for Green Dawn, there are portions of the map whereby you can unlock using a dynamite or whatever, whereby you suddenly encounter mob type that are a lot harder than your current level, and you can't do it. You just can't do it. So you have to go back to it again. But it's kind of fun because it gives you a little bit of like there's still some unfinished business. It's not like you just explore the map as the game presents the story to you, but you keep going back and forth to visit old maps and some area whereby you couldn't go because it's either too high level or you don't have enough dynamite and so on and so forth. But that's why I find that this game is really interesting in the sense that remind me of the good old classic games whereby not everything is linear. You just have to kind of like revisit some of the old places. And now what brought me back to this place, because quite honestly I can't forget what other zones I have not been to, because Green Dawn is rather large. It was one of the reputation quests that I have to do. And I was being tasked to kill off some mobs, like this one. There's one animal here just now, the big dog, and later on the second one here is a dungeon whereby it's a roguelike. The second part of the dungeon is a bit of roguelike, which I couldn't couldn't complete it in the past, and so I'm revisiting again. I mean, this is some of these like mobs that you go in is exactly kind of my level. So I'm a character which is level 50, and this is not an end game, by the way. And it's still leveling. So some of these mobs I can see level 53 this boss here, mini boss here, which is higher than I am, and it's been killing off all my minion quite fast. So it's a little bit like scary because I'm not even inside the the zone whereby require me a key to get in. So it's kind of hard. So I need to resummon all my pets, like the familiar, which is a bird, like the hellhound, which is like a fiery dog, revenant number 6, which is a skeleton, but help to buff all the mobs around, and it's come from the gear itself. Then I've got 6 skeleton. I have to summon it in 2 rounds, because each time I summon there's only 3 of them. And then also a blight fan, which is more like a golem, a poisonous golem kind of thing. Everyone has a cooldown, so I can't just spam it and make them just unlimited kind of spawning of the summon like some other games. So it's a little bit of thinking, strategizing whether I should use like Blight Fan. You can explode him into a big kind of poison pool, but then you lose the cooldown kind of abilities. So in case if you die, then you can't bring it back in line again, and and so on and so forth. So all in all, I found that the Green Dawn is look at the environment here, look at the game asset. It does make you feel very, very like in the environment. Variety is very important. Mobs that spawn and come to you. This is, by the way, one of the boss guarding the gates before the next stage, whereby require me a skeleton key. So now, so far, this part there's no roguelike yet, meaning that if your character dies, you can just resurrect. I can't remember where, either in town or whatever, because I seldom die in this game. But if after this point, after this gate, the character die, then you have to recraft a key. Now, to open this door, I need a skeleton key. To have the skeleton key, I need like 3 ingredients, and some of these ingredients you need to like kill off some of these elite or bosses in order to have that. So it is not an area whereby I can just keep trying. And I think in a way, yeah, I mean, while I don't like roguelike, I think it's rather good in the sense that if you are not prepared for it, then there's no point trying to do it again and again. Like Wolcen, for example, you could try the boss again and again. It's quite frustrating because you have to restart all the way from the beginning. But it kind of like it's a bit of a gear check and the skill check. You can go in and you learn a game mechanic. Like for example, later on you see a big boss and you get what I mean. I kind of learned the first time I did it. The boss, I know some of the mechanic. And then second time I do it, I try to avoid some of this mechanic. However, unlike Wolcen, it is a lot more forgiving, whereby you could observe what happened when you do engage a boss. You could observe what is really hurting you and try to avoid it while during you are fighting it. So it is unlike Wolcen, whereby if you don't dodge at a 45 angle out from the smash, you are probably one shot and die kind of thing. And you may figure out after 10 attempts and whatnot, or you could just read the internet to do it. But Green Dawn is not like that. Green Dawn is like you could play, you could observe, you could just take a bit longer, but you could eventually get through most of the content without having to keep restarting again and again. So, well, at least at this leveling experience. So, not what I'm trying to say here. These are all leveling, by the way. Now, it's a lot of loot here. My apologies. I'm still trying to figure out how the loot filter works. So in this game here, there is something called loot filter, and I'm still thinking whether I should collect some of this gear just to get better kind of more iron bits, which is their currency, which is like gold and so on. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I just don't know whether I should loot majority of the stuff, at least the green items, or I should just focus on, like, for example, I'm looking for pet stats, and it's very rare. I think maybe 1 in 100 pieces that will have a pet kind of stat. So if I apply the filter in game, I'm pretty sure that the screen won't be that clutter kind of thing. It's a little bit like the Path of Exile, if you get what I mean. If you don't apply any loot filter, you would encounter a lot of loot on the ground until you can't really see anything at all, which is what happened here in some sense. So yeah, so this is, by the way, this is the mini boss I'm supposed to defeat for my quest for the reputation. Now this is another boss here. This is pretty legit boss, by the way. It spawns at the Suffering dungeon. It's called Suffering. It doesn't really do a lot of very crazy stuff, but it does hit really hard. You try to stay away, and I try to moderate my my aggro, because my pet does aggro, but then if I do too much aggro, then the boss will come onto me, and it's not that pleasant when it does, because it does hit very hard, and it seems to replenish its health for phase 2 as well, and so on. Just a little bit of managing of the aggro, and after that you see phase 3, very much like Wolcen as well. I mean, or Wolcen very much like the old school games, whereby now because majority of my minions start to die off, and it start to come after me, I think, very soon. So yeah, and now I just can't hold the aggro anymore. A little bit of like using the skeleton to block him off. If I don't know why I sort of don't summon the skeleton, I may have get distracted somehow. It's just too many things happening. I need to keep track of all the 4 kind of familiars that 4 kind of type of demons are up there, or minion up there. So the Revenant, the big skeleton that I got is to buff all the other minion. The fiery kind of like Hellhound is really to do a lot of DPS. He's a DPS pet. The bird, which is a familiar, which is to heal as well, so it's important for him to keep alive. And then there's a Blight Fan that's more like a tank, which I don't know why I don't bring it out now I do. So that is a tank, and then I have like a skeleton, which is more like a filler in some sense. Sometimes I use them to block the boss from coming too fast towards me. Yeah, but unfortunately this boss is a little bit slower, so it doesn't really hit too hard. And I was thinking, whoa, I thought I done the boss, and suddenly there's another phase come out. I can't remember how many phases are there, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty epic fight. It get bigger and bigger and bigger. It hit harder as well. I'm quite fortunate that I'm a summoner. I don't know how to face him if I'm like, I don't know, a mage or whatever, or even like a melee maybe. So yeah, I mean, it's fun time. It does hit, and it does its thing. And I think this is the last phase from the very tiny boss that you see until really big one. All right. So I'm also saving the food ration as well to sort of like replenish my stamina. You see that in Green Dawn, the hot bar there's a red bar. There's actually 2 shades of red. You can't really see it now because once you take damage, you replenish. But then you have a darker shade, which is more like maybe a wound or whatever. So you're wounded in some sense. So the more damage you take, the more you're wounded. So how fast you regenerate the health, I think, is to do with how much you are wounded. So if you're wounded really terribly, then your health regen becomes really terrible as well. I think that's how I get it. Yeah, so all in all, a very exciting game, and now it's towards the end. I'm going to face the enemy whereby I could not down last time. It's a roguelike dungeon. Once the character dies, then you get kicked out from the beginning into the beginning. More like like Path of Exile. There's something like that too. Those are labyrinth, I think that's what it's called. So you can't die inside a dungeon, or you have to do it again. So a bit of like that. But unlike Path of Exile, there's no annoying traps. I still don't like the traps in Path of Exile. My apologies. I think a lot of you follow my channels, fans of Wolcen, fans of D3, fans of Green Dawn, and fans of Path of Exile, and you guys don't necessarily join up to each other, meaning that you either love D3 or Path of Exile. There's nowhere somewhere in between. You either love Wolcen or Path of Exile. There's no somewhere in between. You either love Green Dawn or whatever. So it's kind of hard to please you guys, but I hope you guys get what I mean. Now this guy here is a melee kind of boss. Hit really hard. It does gel you as well. It does teleport. So even as you kite around the area, then it tend to teleport a lot. And also once it gel you, if you don't get out from it, and you will tend to get a one shot as well. So last time I get one shot. Look at how my pet dies. It dies off really fast. It slows you down as well. So you need to manage a lot of like your pet has to be there all the time, and as you hit you're bleeding as well. So it is and there's curse upon you as well. Try to manage the negative curse on you. Try not to get too much of it, otherwise you can get one shot. So this fight here is very exciting. At least while I was playing it, it teleport, and I was trying to see where it's landing, and then try not to get gel as well, and just saving my potion for the best. But other than that, just keep resummoning the mobs, my minions, and look at the way that I'm wounded. So now I'm a little bit more conscious. I think initially I was still a little bit like try very hard to do some damage here and there, but now that I'm wounded like maybe 33%, I really get a bit worried that my regen will be a lot slower than I could. And but I'm still trying to kite him around, and I think in some sense the aggro is lost. And yeah, I mean at this point it's like, whoa, it was a little bit close. Now I'm like close to 40% wounded, and the boss still like coming upon me. And I think looking back, when he vanished is the time I should resummon my mobs and so on. So yeah, now it's just playing the long game. I don't care. I'm not going to hit him. I've just let my minion to hit him. I just want to stay alive here because I'm already halfway wounded. One shot from him and I'm like game over. So I'm just hoping that my mobs are doing his things, and that's why. Yep. And yeah, I burned him out. So not a very glorious fight, but hey, look, I've learned my lessons. I spent hours in this dungeon and have failed before, so I wouldn't want to do that. And that's the reason why I cut him quite hard. Alright, I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.